What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. And the announcement of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's takeover has just been announced. United have announced today that he's entered into an agreement under which the chairman of Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, will acquire 25% of Manchester United's Class B shares and up to 25% of Manchester United's Class A shares, and provide an additional $300 million intended to enable future investment at Old Trafford. A lot of things coming out from this. There's a lot of specifics which we're going to dive into. We're going to get the lads' opinions, of course. And most importantly, we want your opinion. So get it in the comment section now. It's finally been sanctioned and we can actually talk about where the future lies, as if we haven't already been doing that anyway for the past kind of 6 months. But the main things coming out from this, which I really want to get Chivy and Sam's opinion on, and which I thought the most interesting points. So there is no guaranteed Glazer's exit as part of the Ineos deal. There will be options for an increased stake, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe stating that when the process began, he wanted a majority, but there is no obligation for the Glazers to sell entirely. What are your thoughts on that, Chivy, and the deal as a whole?
Well, I'm happy it's pretty much official now. So yeah, there's something to look forward to now. As far as the deal, there was never going to be any sort of, I mean, it was impossible to have some sort of written agreement that the Glazers would leave at some point. But this is how it's done. Now this is the agreement, and all he can do is just increase his share in the club. And then eventually, if that's the plan, then he can have a majority share. But I'm not really bothered about that right now. I would rather just take my problems step by step. So I'm not focused on, whether the Glazers are here or not. I think what's most important to me personally is that Ineos Group will be in charge of the footballing decisions. The Glazers can just be in the background and take the dividends, whatever it is they want to do, all that, but just leave the footballing decisions to people who are actually experienced. And I think when that starts to allow us to win, or at least to see an improvement in the way we play and the results and all that, I'll be more than happy. And then, eventually, I can be bothered about what's going to happen with the Glazers and the rest of that. But I'm just more realistic about this whole thing. It's impossible that they would sign the deal to say, you've got 25% now, and in 5 years' time, you can push us out the door. That was never going to happen.
Yeah, well, if you know what the Glazers are like and you know how they deal with it, this is why I said when it first initially got announced that Sir Jim was, effectively throwing him a lifeline to keep him in the loop. I think you've seen the things on the horizon now, with all these, the Super League that's coming back into play, different kind of revenue streams, etc. It does not surprise me in the slightest. And when they announced this, Sam, 13 months ago, did you think that we'd be here?
In all honesty, there was a lot of sort of bullshit, wasn't there, in the media? Like, a lot of people were guessing and making assumptions, and loads of people went early and were like, Qatar is done, it's finished, they're going to be the new owners. And then there was a bunch of stuff coming out saying Sir Jim's going to be the new owners, and eventually nobody was right, really, because nobody called this. Nobody called Sir Jim taking 25%, hoping to take majority control eventually within a set period of time. Nobody called that. Everybody was thinking, the Glazers want to sell, and they want to sell all of it for that thing. And it seemed like that was never really on the cards, or if it was, they wanted ridiculous money, like 10 billion or whatever the figure was that was being chucked about. So yeah, like Chivy, with all the financial stuff and blah 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 and the money, that doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is he gets sporting control, and we can make some changes to the recruitment side, the way the footballing team is structured in terms of having an actual football director, not some fucking person who came from Everton and has no experience in the job. And Darren Fletcher, as much as I love the guy, should not be doing the role he's doing, etc. We can have football people like the likes of Paul Mitchell, Jean-Claude Blanc, whoever it is, come in, rip this up from scratch, get the correct structure in place so we can recruit better players, have an investment in this squad, investment in youth facilities and training facilities, and make a better football team. That's what I'm excited about. But everything else is it's up in the air. And the Glazers are going to glazer, and they're going to take money, and there's not much we can do about it. But the footballing side, I'm excited about that bit.
Do you think it's just as simple as that, though, Trevor? Do you think it's simple as that they come in, as long as you sort the football inside out, it'd be okay? Because there's been a lot of problems for the last 10 years, hasn't there?
Yeah, there have been a lot of problems, but let's not forget that we won trophies under the Glazers. I'm not making excuses for them or anything, but I'm just saying, in reality, we did win a lot of trophies under the Glazers. So this big issue happened when we lost to Sir Alex Ferguson and we lost to Gale at the same time in one summer. And this is where the unraveling began. Now, if we have a structure in place, I think there's a possibility that we can start to, we can start to see some improvements to the team and then eventually to the club. And yes, I agree with you, Nick. It's not going to be as easy as that. They just handle this and handle that. But I think we've been through a lot as Man United fans. If we can just process this little bit of good news that we have and then just have the looming Glazers behind, I'd rather not think about that because that's way too negative. I'd rather just allow it for a year, see how it goes, and then I'll be worried about that. But for me personally, there's no point in just saying, well, we've got a new owner who's in charge of the football institutions, but the Glazers are still here. Like, for me, it does nothing to me personally. When Ferguson and David Gill were here, yeah, there were protests, but we're still winning. I just want to start winning again, and then I'll be able to tackle that later when we've gotten our position back, and as one of the best teams, well, the biggest clubs in Europe.
Yeah, it certainly feels like we've got a long way to go, in my opinion. But look, he's gonna have to the job they're gonna have to do, Sam, going in here with everything that's been going on. They're gonna have to be one cutthroat. So you can imagine some of the staff right now seeing these announcements won't be as enthusiastic as we are seeing it because they're like, well, shit, my fucking job's gone. But in order to do that, the people that have been spoken about, I mean, we've spoken in depth about your Paul Mitchells, your Jean-Claude Blancs, and these kind of guys. But one of the key decision makers and someone who's a part of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's team is Dave Brailsford.
Yep.
And a lot of question marks around that is the fact that he's done extremely well in cycling and other sports, but hasn't mastered, let's say, football yet. Is that a concern of yours at all? Or do you think the people that have been linked with coming in, do you think they're the right guys to take us forward now into this new era, if you want to call it that?
I think Sir Dave Brailsford, yeah, like you said, he's not a football person, but he is a successful sporting person. So he's took cycling and they've done really well. And the names we're being linked with seems like they're not hiring their own people, which is what the Glazers did. They got their mates in, they got people they knew, all that sort of stuff. They're looking for the best in class. If you, like, off the top of your head, if you were like, right, who's the best person I can get to recruit players in? Most of us say Paul Mitchell. No?
Like, that'd be the obvious name, yeah.
And then if we were like, all right, if we wanted a director of football and stuff like that, you'd be like Jean-Claude Blanc. You'd be like, who's the other people who've been linked with? Dan Ashworth, Dougie Freeman, like some good names and stuff like that. So they're looking at the best people in the footballing positions, which is a great start. They're not going, we can do this, we can sort this. They're looking at the best. They're looking to delegate, which is something the Glazers only did to people they could control on the end of the string or were friends of and stuff like that. So I think that's a good sign. Yeah, we should be cautious because, like you said, they're not footballing people, and they didn't get things right at Nice for the first couple of years, but they seem to have sort of steadied that ship and learned the lessons, and hopefully they can take those lessons they learned over to Manchester United and realise, okay, all the stuff we did wrong in the first bit, we can avoid that and we can learn from the best, especially if they get like some Paul Mitchell and stuff in. They know what they're doing. They've been at big clubs. They've done it before. So the better people you get in who are more experienced, no offence to Darren Fletcher and that, more experienced people, the easier the ship is going to be to right. But obviously it's not, like you said, it's not that simple, but hopefully we get the right people in, then it should go a lot smoother.
Yeah, for me personally, I'd advise it's not going to be a quick fix. This is going to take a while. I'm talking years of like transfer windows and strategy, and I'm not expecting January, boom, challenging for the title again. It's just not realistic at all. There has been a statement released from Avram Glazer and Joel Glazer, also known as the Bog Rats. So they're saying, we are delighted to have agreed this deal with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos as part of the strategic review we announced in November 2022. We're committed to look at the variety of alternatives to help enhance. They definitely didn't write this, did they? Not a chance. To enhance Manchester United with the focus on delivering success for our men's, women's, and academy teams because they're incompetent at doing it. Sir Jim and Ineos bring a wealth of commercial experience as well as significant financial commitment into the club. And through Ineos Sport, Manchester United will have access to seasoned, high-performance professionals experienced in creating and leading elite teams from both inside and outside the game. Manchester United have talented people right across the club, and our desire is to always improve at every level to help bring our great fans more success in the future. So that is from Joel and Avram Glazer, who are probably sat there happy. In my opinion, they'll be buzzing with this going through because, like I said, for me personally, I feel like it's a bit of a lifeline. I know you guys have a slightly different view on it, and it's a bit more positivity around that. But what about the January window, Chiv? Do you think anything changes there at all, or do you think it's just usual business going forward?
I don't know. I think it's too soon. I don't know how long it takes. I know it's been announced now that Ratcliffe is in, but I don't know how long the whole process takes, how much is going to be made available, how that affects our finances or our transfer kitty. I don't think much will be done. I think there'll be some sort of, I mean, if Ineos is supposed to be this analytical sports machine that we think they are, I think there will be a lot more analysis to be done first. I don't think we're going to just jump in and spend a lot of cash. Chelsea has shown us that doesn't work. So I think there might be a little bit more cautiousness in the window. And I personally wouldn't even want us to do much in the window, to be honest. So yeah.
Can I ask you about that? Why is it specifically you wouldn't want to do much in the January window?
I don't trust this manager to make another single transfer until we change anything. So I wouldn't trust this guy with a pound. Like, so
That's fair.
I'd rather they assess his progress, and make a decision on him before they then invest any money in there.
Yeah. If you was Eric Ten Hag, Sam, would you any question marks over your head with this lot coming in? Would you be worried at all?
Absolutely. This season has not been good enough. He's got credit in the bank from the success he did last season, and there's serious question marks over him this season. When it comes to, like Chivy said, certain transfers, Anthony is a big example of that. Like, absolute waste of money, and I don't see it working. And then certain squad selections, I know we've got injuries and stuff like that, so I have a certain bit of sympathy for him for that. But like continuously picking Scott McTominay, for example, and just causing a huge negative in the team, that's got to be questioned. So yeah, I think he should rightly be worried. I would not put the axe on his head just yet. Like I would assess every other area of the club and look at structure, look at recruitment and stuff like that. Take that responsibility away from Ten Hag. Realise what the actual style of play he's looking for, and then recruit players based on that, and not people in his black book that he knows and stuff like that, which hasn't worked. And then assess that, give him the tools, and then if he then still isn't able to get the best out of this team or isn't able to make results, then you've got your decision. Then you know it's like, okay, he's not able to turn this ship around, we may have to look elsewhere. But I wouldn't swing the axe just yet. Have you read out the Sir Jim Ratcliffe quote?
No, go for it if you want
to. Yeah. Whilst the commercial success of the club has ensured there have always been available funds to win trophies at the highest level, this potential has not been fully unlocked in recent times.
That's a way of wording it, isn't it? Okay, no.
We will bring global knowledge, expertise and talent from the wider Ineos Sport Group to drive further improvement at the club, while also providing funds to enable future investment into Old Trafford. That is from Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
I think, for me, if I was the manager, I'd be looking at it and I'm like, there's a lot of strong personalities coming into to Manchester United, like a lot of strong figureheads. And I don't think they'll blink twice. I think they all want to have this kind of cohesion between and amongst themselves to direct United back to the top. That's what they all want. And of course, Eric Ten Hag wants that at all. But I just feel like they're going to bring a specific vision. And I think Eric Ten Hag will have until the end of this season. And I genuinely think it could be curtains for him. I'd be very surprised if he's still in next season.
I agree. If he doesn't turn it around this season, that I think,
Yeah.
he's the...
Like, you got guys coming like Paul Mitchell who have a certain way of thinking, certain philosophies, and what kind of players they want. And Eric Ten Hag's stubborn. We all know that as United fans. He's a very stubborn guy and wants specific things. I think they're going to bump heads, and I think that was a reason why. Well, I know Ragnick left because there was shit going on at board level as well, but I also think it was something to do with Eric Ten Hag as well, because he wanted a certain, football a certain way. So I don't know. I don't know what the future's going to look like for him. I think he may be the one on the chopping board, and then they go for, I don't know, whoever it is. There's link with Graham Potter and managers like that.
There's some news as well. So Dave Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc officially joined Manchester United board. So that's official. So
just on that as well, can we confirm, Sam, the video, the pre-record that we've done?
I've put it in the description in the description. It's also in the chat in there, and the video is now live. So if you want to explain what it is, Nick, and then people can go.
Yeah, so basically it's Ineos 10-step plan. So everything, this isn't just me just winging it and thinking what they're going to do. There's genuine research that's gone into it. So these guys are talking about like Dave Brailsford, Jean-Claude Blanc, their backgrounds, what they're good at, Paul Mitchell, etc., all that kind of thing, and what they want to do to Manchester United to make, for future success. Everything is packaged in that show. So please do go check that out. That is dropped, and I think there's a link in the description, you say, Sam?
Yeah, and in the chat as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so please do go check that out. If you're confused, you don't know what's going on, stakes, who's coming in, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, it is in that video. So please do check it out. Ineos 10-step plan.
So Jim Ratcliffe will delegate his seats on the PLC board to John Rees, a shareholder of Ineos, and Rob Nevin, chairman of Ineos Sport. On the UK club board, he will delegate his seats to Sir Dave Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc. That is official.
I like the names that are linked to it, but at the same time, does it feel like, that saying when they say too many cooks spoil the broth? Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Does it feel like that a little bit when there's a lot of people involved, or is that the right way to go about it, do you think?
I mean, I've only just heard two names. I don't know.
Dave Brailsford, you've got Jean-Claude Blanc coming in. You've got, I think, Joel Glazer is going to be on the committee. So it's like a 3-man committee of like Ratcliffe, Joel Glazer, and Brailsford. Obviously, you've got Paul Mitchell want to come in, but then Dan Ashford as well. I don't know if they'd be like a similar part. I just don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of people linked to it and a lot of people control it. I don't know. I just feel a bit mad about it for me personally.
Yeah, I get that. I completely get that, but I don't think it'll be an issue. I know we hear a lot about Edu at Arsenal, or you hear about Chicky, Begoristan at City, but it doesn't mean it's just them in an office doing everything. They have a team. They probably have people that they work with, but they're just like frontmen. But it really doesn't matter to me as long as there's some sort of chemistry and they're moving in togetherness as a team. And I'm sure this is how Ineos already functions. So I don't think it'll be a situation where it's kind of a new style of doing things for them. They've just brought in a few people to delegate certain things, which works, because the polar opposite of that is fucking John Murta doing everything, right? This is what we just have now. He's flying to Barcelona to talk to them 3 times. He's flying here, he's doing this, he's doing that. Like, there's so many things that he's doing all at once. And the only thing we're hearing is either John Murta or Richard Arnold. We're not hearing any other names. Like, those are the 2 main names of the people running things. So I'd rather have a team of 3-4 people, experienced people who can work together and get the job done. So the amount of cooks in this particular instance doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I suppose the main point, Sam, the silver lining in all of this, we've wanted change for 18 years. It's not the change some people wanted. Some people wanted Qatar in, some people wanted different alternatives. I mean, I remember that geezer from, was it Sweden or something? He was
Finland.
like, the fans pay £3.50 each or something like that. Like, ridiculous. But the silver lining is, like Chivy rightfully said, the Glazers do not control any part of Manchester United's footballing operations, right? So going forward now, are you feeling slightly more positive despite the results on the pitch?
Like, the indications are that, the restructure and the sort of movement of people and hopefully the removal of certain people would indicate positivity, but obviously it may not always go right. It may not always be smooth sailing. Like, there might be some bumps along the road. Managers might lose their job. Certain people might get upset, but like things can happen. So, you can never be 100% positive, 100% sure that it's going to work, but you can give yourself the best opportunity and the best chance by hiring the best people in the sport to do the jobs. There's not much else you can do. Like, if you hire the best people in class and give them the room and the freedom to do their jobs to the highest ability, then you give yourself the best opportunity possible to succeed. There's no guarantee of success. Like, we've seen that. Like, Liverpool in any other era probably would have been dominating this league if City weren't there with their unlimited wealth and stuff, and having the best manager in the Europe at the minute. So it's a weird thing. So we could do everything correctly, but City might just be that little bit better. Liverpool might just be that little bit better. And it's all about timing. In the 90s and the early 2000s, United were really the only force around, and we were dominating football. Arsenal came in little bits, Chelsea little bits and stuff like that, but we were pretty much the only guys around in town. Nowadays, there's big boys, man. You got Newcastle, you got City, there's Liverpool, Brighton are doing good things. Like, there's a lot of good teams. Chelsea have got stupid money if they're not spending it correctly, but they've got money. So you've got people around, and it's going to be a lot more difficult now. So you have to be extra intelligent and extra careful about doing the right things. There's a statement from Must, the Man United Supporters Trust. I just wanted to read a little bit of it because it's quite damning of the Glazers. During the 18 years of debt, decay, mismanagement, Manchester United fans have loudly and consistently called for change at our club. When the so-called strategic review was announced nearly a year ago, it finally appeared the sale of the club was on the horizon, potentially bringing in new investment. Against that backdrop, fans have had mixed feelings today. We welcome the investment from a boyhood Red Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his company, but many will wish his ownership stake was greater than the initial 25%. We note the statements that he and his team will take control of sporting activities, yet puzzle how any organisation can put its very core of the business in hands of a minority shareholder. It is now incumbent on the club's owners and management to properly explain how this new structure will work, where the new investment will be directed, and how that will benefit the team on the field. As a supporters trust, we expect to have discussions with the club management and Ineos in the near future to understand their plans. Today might be a step forward for Man United after very difficult years, but with the Glazers still in charge, people should understand that United fans remain sceptical and wait for proof in the pudding. That's a must.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's a pretty solid statement, to be fair. And I think, look, there's going to be a lot more details coming out over the next couple of weeks. So I don't really want to do a guessing game saying he's doing this. We know for a fact, this is from Ben Jacobs, that on the board is Dave Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc. They're ready to go, good to go, 100%. And then on the PLC board, you've got John Rees and Rob Nevin, who I know fuck all about. I don't even know what PLC is, to be honest with you, but they are the people who are in place.
Publicly listed company.
Yeah, thought so. Yeah, so these are the people that are in place. We're going to hear more and more details about this. Just the last question for you, Trevor. We spoke about people who's been moved on from the club, like staff and people, not staff, but like people at board level of incompetence. But the players as well, they need to be as cutthroat with these kind of guys. These big contracts that we have at the club as well, right?
Yeah, that's a given. That's a given that they need to be. I mean, we've been wanting to move on certain players for quite some time now, so that's a given. But I really wouldn't look too much into that now. I mean, I'm happy that we have a team that's going to be in charge of that. But I think the main thing now is for them to sit with the manager and assess his plans, or whatever manager comes in. We can't just be letting players go just for the sake of it, right? It has to be the right players.
Buying players for the sake of it.
Yeah. So as far as people leaving, it has to be the right players that leave for the right moments or for the right reasons. So a typical example is, we were hearing rumors about Varane leaving, but under no circumstances should he be leaving before Maguire. I understand that he's 30 years old, but then if we're going to invest some more, it's easier for a player to come in for us to get a young centre back who's going to be coming in to replace an aging centre-back who's more injury-prone than Harry Maguire, who's kind of like in the prime. We can get some value for him, and he can, move on to somewhere else. And he doesn't really fit the plan of this manager at the moment. He's playing well, and I'm really, really happy for him for everything that he's been through. But just as an example, players like that we shouldn't be letting go of people like Varane and keeping Maguire, right? It should be the other way around. So those kind of things. But then what fans will speculate, I'm more of leaving this to the experts that we have now to assess all of this in terms and sit with the manager. And another good thing about having these people in is that now Ten Hag is answerable to someone, because I might be wrong, but it seemed to me like he had way too much control.
Absolutely.
And he wasn't really answerable to anyone. So I think having them in, he has to think about what he's going to say to his boss, right? Or, he's answerable to someone now. He has to give a clear plan. Why I want this person, blah, blah, blah. And then he can be challenged, because it seems to me that he's not being challenged, or people in the position right now don't have the level of expertise and knowledge to challenge him fully. So
he shouldn't get carte blanche to just buy whoever he wants, though. Like every other club, the manager goes, I want to play like this. I need this type of profile of player. Like, this is the sort of player I need. And then they'll go out and find the exact, they'll scout and they'll have a database, and they're like, okay, these are the players that fit your style and have the attributes that you wanted. And then they'll go through and like, okay, this one will cost this, but it'll maybe a bit longer to develop. This guy's ready to come in now, blah, blah. And then they'll work it out based on that. You can't just go to the manager and go, who do you want? And he goes, this guy. Like, it shouldn't work that way. Shouldn't work that way.
I wouldn't have a problem with that if you earn that respect to do that.
Fergie.
Yeah. So Fergie he earned it. Pep Guardiola at City, he earned that. Like, he's got to the point where Pep can say, I want such and such player, and nobody bats an eyelid, because they know he's done that before. They've seen it happen time and time again. The player comes in and just fits in like he's been there forever. Yeah. So you have to earn that status, and at the moment this guy hasn't earned it just yet.
Just a point, Nick. Sorry to interrupt you. The transaction will be fully funded by Trawlers Limited with zero debt. So there will be zero debt on the club.
But then where does the debt go? Because we have lingering debt now. Like,
it goes on then. It goes on. So does that mean the debt is then transferable to this?
It just says the transaction. So the money that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is using to purchase these shares and the stake is being funded by Trawlers Limited.
Oh, so right, okay.
He's not using debt to buy the club. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I thought you meant the initial debt that's kind of already at the club, which will be interesting to see how they kind of service that going forward. But look, announcing it on Christmas Eve in typical United fucking fashion is just like absolutely mad. For me, I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas, whether people take this news as a gift or for the people who are still typing out the Qatari accounts and these kind of things. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do now, because it's been official now, so they can't live off speculation.
They will.
Impressions. I mean, I'm sure they'll still try, but I mean, at this point, and what else have you got left? It's been officially announced. So let us know. Leave your opinions in the chat, whether you're watching this live right now or if you're watching it later on. Let me know how you feel about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos taking over a 25% stake in Manchester United. Make sure you check out the Ineos 10-step plan video. The link is in the chat. That explains everything for you. So if you're a little bit confused as to what's going on, check that show out. And also the pros and cons dropped this morning as well. So if you need more content to watch, there's shitloads. And we're about to do the preview as well for the Aston Villa game. So there's so many things on the channel. So make sure you check every single one of them out. Leave a like on them. And your opinions, as always, are important. So, we'll leave it at that, lads. Merry Christmas to Manchester United fans, and Merry Christmas to you lot. And we'll see you in the next one, I suppose. Take care. In a bit.
We want Blaze House and we want Blaze Out. We want Blaze House and we want Blaze Out. We want